It's 9:41 a.m. on Tuesday, the 23rd of March. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioners Cavell. Here. Gershenson. Here. Gingell. Here. Hoffman.
Present.
Jackson. I'll come back to her. Johnson.
Present.
Joliet. Here. Long.
Here.
Lubes. Here. Markham. Here. McGilvray is excused with notice. Miller is excused with notice. Nelson. Here. Powell. Here. Rahman is excused with notice. Smith Charles.
Present.
Spiz is also excused with notice. Weipert.
Here.
Woodward.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
All right, quorum's established. This morning's invocation is going to be given by the Honorable Mike Gingell, and it will be followed by the pledge. So if everyone please rise.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you'd all please rise and join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for today and we thank you for the opportunity to serve. Lord, we thank you for the way that you blessed Oakland County and helped us to prosper and given us your favor. I pray today that you would put your hand upon us and give us, Lord, your servants, the wisdom we need to make decisions and calm emotions and open minds to be reasonable and to best represent the people. Lord, I pray for those around the world that are serving, that you keep your hand upon them. And God, we just thank you for the way that you continue to bless us and the people that make up Oakland County, many of the women that are here today that we're going to honor and those that aren't, that are doing great things. And Lord, I just pray that you just be with us this morning and keep our paths clear. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Commissioner Gingell. Next up, we've got approval of the minutes from our March 2nd meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Moved by Gingell, seconded by Lubes. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Let the record reflect that the minutes have been approved unanimously. We have, next up is the approval of the agenda. And if I can get a motion to approve the agenda, need to move item A under the Finance Committee to the regular agenda because we have an amendment that we need to consider. So can we get a motion to move the agenda with the revised liabilities claim and workers' compensation policy and procedures move to the regular agenda?
I'll move it.
Moved by Commissioner Markham, seconded by Commissioner Long. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that the agenda has been approved unanimously. We've got a number of presentations. We're going to be recognizing some really incredible women that are doing great work across this county, as Commissioner Gingell made mention of. First up, and we're really fortunate, certainly during the pandemic, we saw the demand and need for parks and recreation and getting out was so critical. Our park systems, whether it's the state, regional, county, local, play such a critical role in our community. We have today an opportunity to hear from our Huron-Clinton Metro Park system, where we all as a region pay in tax dollars to support, but we really do have some incredible parks. And so I'd like to, are both of you making the presentation? But let me first recognize our Oakland County representative, who's the chair of the Metro Parks Authority. Jay Quadrozzi is here, as well as Amy McMillan, the director of our Metro Park system, to give a presentation this morning. So if I can call both you ladies up. And Jay, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your leadership on the Parks Board, and I know you've been there for a number of years, and then obviously the person who's running it day to day. So, Jay, welcome.
Good morning. I am Jay Quadrozzi. Most of you know me. I have been Oakland County's representative for the better part of perhaps 2 decades, which is hard to believe. And I want to thank you for giving me the chance to serve in that way and to continue to serve in that way. And then I am going to introduce to you our director, Amy McMillan. Amy has been with us
Almost 5 years.
almost 5 years. Gosh, it's crazy. We have done some amazing things. We've done some amazing things all the way along, but I will say that under Amy's leadership, we have done some spectacular things. So I'm going to turn it over to Amy, and she is going to show you what we've been up to.
Thank you so much. Okay, I am going to be driving the presentation, so I'm going to apologize in advance for any errors that I make. But thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today to bring you up to date on what we've been doing at the Metro Parks and what is coming up. And I'm hoping most everybody here doesn't really need much of an introduction to the Metro Parks, that you've had an opportunity, whether it's in the last few months or the last few years, or really even part of your family history is tied back to the memories that you've made in the Metro Parks. One of the things that we've been working on really hard as an organization is to update our mission, our vision, our core values to make certain that they really connect with the communities and the priorities of the people who live in the region. And we've updated a strategic plan, which if you go to our website and look at, you will find shamelessly flatters Oakland County's strategic plan in its format, because we thought the work that you did on that effort was so well communicated and easy to read and connect with folks. So we hope that you'll make some time to do that. I am sure that you know that one of the priorities for the entire region, it seems that everyone who lives in southeastern Michigan places a high priority on trails, nature trails, biking trails, hiking trails, walking trails, and not just trails themselves, but trails that are connected to other trails. So we can move from neighborhood to neighborhood, park to park, community to community. And the Metro Parks has placed a very high focus on that from the beginning, but really narrowed our focus in recent years to improving the accessibility of the trails that we have. We have a goal of making at least 1 mile of nature trails accessible to people with all abilities in each of our parks, and to connect each of our parks to each other so that you can travel from Stony Creek to Kensington and all around the entire system. The original system was planned to be connected park to park throughout the entire region, and we are working really hard to make that vision a reality. We've recently hired PEA to do all of the preliminary engineering to determine where those gaps in our system exist so we can get to work on filling them. And most recently, Congresswoman Slotkin was responsible for a $900,000 grant that came to us to do the engineering and design for that connector over 23. So if you're at Kensington Metro Park, you can go to Island Lake. You'll be able to cross safely over the highway and enjoy the rest of the system. It's a pretty big, hairy deal. We're really excited about it. One of the things we're very proud of at the Metro Parks is our commitment to natural resources. We are really one of the leading organizations, and I know that the Oakland County Parks do really great work in this effort as well. We've concentrated a lot of our efforts recently on invasive species, because invasive species, having a control over invasive species, whether they're animals or they're plants or they're insects, has such an incredible impact on our environment today and the environment going forward. This last couple of weeks, we've been working early this spring on our prescribed burns throughout the parks, and we have more programs coming up, specifically this pest, which is it's so colorful. It looks like it would be a lot of fun, right? It's got the polka dotted wings and all of these sorts of things, but it is really insanely destructive. And it has been found in Oakland County already. And so we have a grant that we are working at a regional level, but really very specifically focused in Oakland County to eradicate this pest. And we hope that you will join us and that your constituents will join us in battling this bug and winning against it, so that it is one less threat to the environment that we have in southeastern Michigan. One of the other projects that we have going on at Indian Springs here in Oakland County is a grant through Consumers Energy called Healing the Huron River's Headwaters Grant. And at Indian Springs, if you've been to the park, you know it's this big, sprawling area that has insanely great natural features. And one of those natural features that we are working to restore is the Huron Swamp. It's not the first thing that folks might visit on the list, but it's an insanely important part of the ecosystem there and is part of our dedication to making sure that we are great stewards of the entire environment and how it impacts the entire watershed. Speaking of the watershed, stormwater management is high at the top of our list of things to do in our parks. We are a really big contributor throughout the region, and in particular in Oakland County, to stormwater management by virtue of the fact that we have so much open space in the metro parks. And we have been so delighted by the spirit of collaboration and partnership from Commissioner Nash's office. They have invited us to work with their staff to have a better understanding of the county drains that flow through Stony Creek Metro Park and Kensington Metro Park, and how this really impacts the system as a whole. To continue to be good stewards, to contribute to that stormwater management, to make parks these wonderful natural places to go. Every single year we have been expanding our no-mow zones within the parks, our grow zones within the parks, to make sure that we are attracting birds and butterflies and all of the things that are, and bees and all of the things, all of the plants, all of the beings that are so important to our environment, and then have this great secondary effect of managing stormwater, keeping water quality high in each of our parks. And water quality is an important issue to us. It comes out at the top of every list of polls that we do when people are talking about what's important to them. Being able to go to safe and open beaches is a high priority throughout the region. We work with a group called Goosebusters. They have some border collies and border collie mixes that come to our parks and keep the geese from being geese on our beaches. We have worked with some community groups on rain garden programs, everything that contributes to making the water quality higher throughout the region. And one of our new initiatives this year that we're super proud of, and we're about 2/3 of the way through, is the first climate action plan that we've had at the Metro Parks. And this takes a look at our parks individually and systemically, and what our organization does throughout the region, and how we collaborate with partners on the ground to amplify the effects of what everyone is doing to make our environment safer, to make people healthier, and we'll have this rolled out to you probably by the end of the summer. We're working with MSU on this project, and we're super excited about it and the way that it coordinates with other efforts throughout the region. You know, we do a ton of programs in the Metro Parks. A lot of our programs are nature-based. We go out to schools. Schools come to visit us. And we do all of these programs year-round. Our Get Out and Play program, our Get Out and Learn programs are free programs for schools to participate in. We pay for transportation for kids to come to the Metro Parks throughout the school year and throughout the summer, because transportation and the cost of transportation are such a huge barrier for so many. And we go out into the community. And if you have a neighborhood group, if you have a community group, you have a church group, somebody that would like to have us come and talk to you about the environment, we have programs that are tailored specifically for that reason. And I gotta tell you, our staff are really amazing teachers. Let us know how we can help you, and we will be happy to be there. One of our new programs last year that is going to come back this year is the Sheldon Mountain Bike Festival. If you've been to Stony Creek, if you are a mountain bike enthusiast, you know that Sheldon trails are insanely great in every possible way. We have so many wonderful partners in the community, both in service groups, in retail partners. This first year we had over 1,000 people at this event, and one of the great things about it is these organizations that are our partners are teaching kids how to mountain bike. So there are particular events all throughout the year where grown-ups come out and they teach young kids. There are some groups that are particularly focused on girls. There are some groups that are particularly focused on kids who live in the cities to really be great enthusiasts for that sport. And it's a blast. If you haven't been, make the time and come on out. One of the things you might not know that we host at the Metro, we host events really that attract people from all over the country and all over the world. And one of the things that you may not be aware of is we are the site for rowing. And we host regional events, we host state championships at Kensington that bring kids from all over the region, all beyond, and you have to be a really great athlete to row. And the commitment that these kids and their coaches have is just really phenomenal to see. And when folks, of course, travel from all over, they get a better impression of the region. They bring their money with them. They leave it behind in local stores and restaurants. And so it's this great virtuous cycle. Also, we have a program, we have disc golf courses all over. If you're a disc golf enthusiast, I'm sure you've played some of our courses. But we also have people who come from all over the world for our tournaments at Kensington. We are sometimes featured on ESPN. You can turn on the television on a Sunday and turn on and you're like, oh my gosh, that's Kensington? That is Kensington. Because they are such great courses, and we have really wonderful relationships with the disc golf community, both amateur and professional. In 2023, we made a commitment to expand our programming in parks. Because for people who have not been to parks, one of the things that gets people out to parks is having something specific to do to go there. Once they go there, they're like, oh, we're coming back. But the idea of having a thing to do when you get there is really important. So you will see on our website that we have an entire series of new programs coming to the Metro Parks. In our Oakland County parks, we're super excited about Metro Barks. Metro Park, it's just going to be so cool. If you're a dog person, that is the place that you're going to want to be. We've even already expanded some of our nature programs to, although we don't allow dogs on nature trails, we have our naturalists going out with people and their dogs along our regular trails to learn about the natural environment with your dog, if you don't want to leave your dog at home. We have the Night of the Dragon coming up. We have musical events. Make sure to check out our website. And if you haven't signed up for our email lists, we don't randomly email you, I promise. If you say, I want to know about this, that is the only email that you will get from us. So it's a great way to stay connected and plan your summer. So one of the things that we are most proud of, and we started in a small way in 2021 and expanded in 2022, and Oakland County Parks were a huge, important part of the success of this program in 2022. As we expanded from our partnership from the City of Detroit to include all 5 counties, the Oakland County Parks staff stepped up and helped us make connections with kids in the Pontiac community, because we had no relationships on the ground here, to be just perfectly frank with you. And we provided the funding to support the lesson programs. They made the connections. They made it possible for kids to get here to the Oakland County pools, to the state park as well. And they were phenomenal. It never would have happened here on the ground without them. As you probably know, a lot of kids, more than half of the kids in southeastern Michigan do not know how to swim. And so that's why we have made swimming a really high priority for us. And if you go to our website, your packet has all the connections. You'll see all of the data that we gathered in order to make the best decision about investing in learning to swim in southeastern Michigan. All of these partnerships are unique. We know that every single community has a very specific need. Transportation may be an issue someplace and not another place. Communication may be easier in some places than in others. And so we tailor those partnerships to meet the needs of the community, and we are so excited by the results. Well over 1,000 kids learned to swim last summer, and we're on board to more than double that this summer. And you'll see some of the data again in your presentation and through our website. And if you know kids who need to know how to swim, let us know, and we'll try to connect them with one of the programs, or reach out to the folks here at the Oakland County Parks team, because seriously, they're so awesome. So we have a number of programs that are going, or a number of projects that are also happening in our parks in Oakland County. This year, we are so happy to finally be able to open the building at Stony Landing. It has been a journey of all kinds of twists and turns, many of which were related to the pandemic, but it is open, it is being well used and very well received. We're very excited about it. We have also, if you like to launch your boat from Kensington or really any of our parks, we've been concentrating on making our boat launches more accessible. And we have had a number of grants in order to help us do that. That's been a big part of our work in the last few years to get outside funding to leverage the funding that comes into the Metro Parks. Our first ever dog park, off-leash dog area, opened at Stony Creek earlier this year, and it is a very popular place. We have a place for small dogs and all dogs. And there's a ton of room to run and smell and do all the things that dogs like to do best. One of the things we're super excited about coming to Indian Springs in the fall is a brand new playground. If you've been at Indian Springs in recent years, you know the playground's been a little underwhelming. The area got to be a little shabby. And so our Board of Commissioners approved a request for a new playground at Indian Springs. Our staff spent a bunch of time with kids in elementary schools near the park to help plan it. The equipment has been ordered, and if all goes according to schedule, we should have kids on the playground before the snow flies. So keep your fingers crossed for us. I know one of the things that people are, well, I thought you might be thinking about it a little bit more today than you might because of all of the rain, but our golf season is upon us. If the rain cooperates just a little bit, we should be open a week from Friday on our courses. So if you were thinking about making tee times, now is the time to start going to our website and making that happen. If you have a league that hasn't found a place to play yet, give us a call, but you might be disappointed because most of our league time has already been booked. One of the good outcomes of the last few years is that people have rediscovered golf. And our courses have benefited tremendously from that. Our golf courses are our third highest form of revenue, and they generate revenue that supports so much of the other work that we do. But I will tell you, it is hard to get a tee time. If we could have more tee times, we would. We play as early as we can and as late as we can. So get online, make those reservations so that you get a spot on one of our great courses. As you know, we have a long-standing partnership with Oakland County. We sell a combo pass. I wanted to let you know that last year we sold over 4,300 of those combo passes through the Metro Parks. I don't have your figures. I don't know exactly what they are. But it is a really popular option for folks who live in Oakland County, and we really appreciate your partnership on that. Okay, and as we know, this is Women's History Month, and if you follow us on social media, we have done a big push on Women's History Month. This is only the second time in our entire 80-year history that we have had a woman who chairs our Board of Commissioners. This is the first time in our entire 80-year history that we've had 2 women on our board at the same time. And they are spectacular and awe-inspiring women. So if you've not seen it yet, I'm going to share with you just a few brief comments from our chair.
I am the current chair of the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks Board. Parks and natural spaces are very important to me. First of all, I am a longtime distance runner and a triathlete, and so I use parks as places to get my runs in, to get my bikes in, to swim in open water, but also as a female lawyer with a lot of stress, outdoor spaces have always provided a place for me to go and clear and regroup. I have a really long history at the Metro Parks. My very first job was a roller rink attendant at back then Metro Beach. And it is sort of full circle for me to now come back and have a leadership role in a group of parks that was relatively formative for me. I think it's important for women to have a seat at the table because the table should represent all of us, and half of us are women. I also think it's really important that women have leadership roles, and women cannot get to lead an organization if you aren't at the table where the organization is happening. It's important to highlight female leaders, and it's important to show young women these leaders, because if you don't see it, you don't think that it's an option. Somebody once told me, if you don't see it, you can't be it. So we should highlight that and let people see, let young women see what they can be.
And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you have about the Metro Parks.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Jay. It's pretty exciting as the sun tries to come out. More inspiration to get out the parks as quickly as possible. And you can do it in the rain. Any questions for the team? Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us, or thank you for coming, rather. Thank you for indulging us. Rochester's my hometown. I've lived in the shadow of Stony Creek Metro Park all my life. Really great stuff, so thank you. Just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about connecting your parks to each other. They are not close to each other. Talk about, I come from the land of trails. We love our Pain Creek and Clinton River Trail. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So we were supposed to be this connected green ring, right? When we were created 80 years ago. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. And we've made some good connections, but really we've said, okay, it's been 80 years. We're smart people. We can figure this out. And plus, there are so many great regional trails to connect to. So we put out an RFP late last year. We ended up hiring PEA, who does really great work throughout the region, and they are looking at the opportunity from every single park to every single other park to connect into existing trails, whether they're ours, whether they're a local community, whether they're sidewalks, whether in any way that we can to make sure that people can have a seamless connection. And then we will just start picking those trails off, a half a mile here, a mile there. We have some partnerships in the past, and I expect they'll continue in the future, really successfully working with road commissions to access those TAP dollars, because we're not directly responsible for them. The relationships that we're building at the state and the federal level, and we will make this happen. We're determined to make it happen, and seriously, it is being committed. It is having a plan. It's having a schedule, and knocking off just a half a mile here, a mile there, and you gain momentum really quickly. So that's one of our primary focuses right now.
Looking forward to seeing it done.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Any other questions? Well, Amy, we're going to start assembling a commissioner's rowing team. So we look, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to condition. Let's go.
There you go.
All right, thank you very
so
much.
much.
All right, another round of applause for our Metro Park system. We have a couple more proclamations before we present awards to some outstanding leaders in our county. First up, I'm going to call on Commissioner Cavell to recognize the 60th anniversary of the Gideon decision.
Good morning, everybody. Can those of you that want to be part of this come on up? So while everyone's coming up here, I was gonna do like a really deep and prophetic, like politician type talk, but then I read the first line of this. So if you don't mind, we're just gonna take turns reading the whereas clauses, and then Pete, say hi, Pete. Pete's gonna do a little speech for us. So, whereas many constitutional rights that Americans have today were earned only through persistent, passionate pleas for justice.
Whereas at the center of a landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision that ensured equal access to appointed counsel as a fundamental right for all was an unlikely champion. Clarence Earl Gideon was a man with an 8th grade education who ran away from home when he was in middle school and was imprisoned for nonviolent crimes in his early adult life.
And whereas in 1961, Mr. Gideon was charged with felonious breaking and entering in Florida, and like so many others who are charged with criminal offenses, had no money to pay for a lawyer. His request for an appointed attorney was denied because state law only permitted such appointments for indigent defendants charged with capital offenses. Having no legal assistance, Gideon was forced to represent himself at trial, where he was found guilty and was sentenced to 5 years in a Florida state prison. There, Mr. Gideon studied law and sent a petition to the state Supreme Court claiming his Sixth Amendment right to legal counsel was violated. The state court denied his request for relief, so Gideon wrote a letter to the U.S. Supreme Court, which accepted the case. And
whereas arguments began in January 1963, and on March 18th, the U.S. Supreme Court, led by Chief Justice Earl Warren, ruled unanimously in favor of Mr. Gideon. The court held that it was an obvious truth that any person hailed into court who is too poor to hire a lawyer cannot be assured a fair trial unless counsel is provided for them. Following the decision, Mr. Gideon was granted another trial with an appointed lawyer and was acquitted of the charges. And
whereas, were it not for the insistence and persistence of one man that he have access to counsel regardless of his ability to pay, the estimated 82% of state defendants and 60% of federal defendants nationwide who rely on appointed counsel would not be able to claim it as an inherent and constitutional right.
now, therefore, David T. Woodward, Chair of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, and the entire Oakland County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim special recognition to the 60th anniversary of the Gideon versus Wainwright ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court and celebrate those who have fought for justice reform, especially those dedicated defense attorneys working every day in Oakland County to provide legal services to those charged with crimes who cannot afford to pay for a lawyer.
so who we have with us today is Pete Mena, who's our chief attorney for the newly created Indigent Defense Office. So Pete, you had a couple words for us?
I want to thank Commissioner Cavell so much for being willing to sponsor this proclamation and all of the commissioners for being willing to sign it. Your public recognition of this important anniversary shows how far that we have come in establishing indigent defense providers as co-equal participants in our criminal legal system, because that has not always been the case. In America, we're all guaranteed the constitutional right to have the assistance of an attorney if we face the potential loss of our liberty in a criminal case. And this is the right that the Supreme Court recognized 60 years ago in Gideon. Most of us pay little attention to that right in our daily lives. We have no need to care about it. But we should all be very thankful that it is there for us if we ever find ourselves in need of it. The defense attorneys who do this work day in and day out truly are unsung heroes. The work is not easy. It takes a mental and emotional toll that too often goes unnoticed. It requires a unique mix of compassion, idealism, and realism that is very difficult to find and even more difficult to maintain over the course of a long career. Our criminal legal system, and I am not being dramatic when I say this, could not function without these dedicated public servants. If they did not exist, everything would grind to a halt. It would be an absolute disaster. So we should all be very thankful that there are people out there willing to do this work and willing to make our criminal legal system work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pete, for your leadership that makes justice work here in Oakland County, and all your service to the people of Oakland County. And thank you, Commissioner Cavell, and those who were part of recognizing this monumental landmark case that has really shaped the justice system in this country. Next up, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Gershenson, Cavell, and Lubes to recognize Social Work Month in 2023.
This was going to be a little more uplifting.
Whereas for more than a century, social workers have worked to improve human well-being and enhance the basic needs of all people. They enter the profession because they have a strong desire to help empower individuals, families, communities, and our nation overcome issues that prevent them from reaching their full potential.
Whereas social workers are the largest group of mental health care providers in the United States, working daily to help thousands of people overcome conditions such as depression and anxiety. They are in the front lines of the nation's opiate addiction crisis, helping people get the treatment they need to prevail over substance use disorders. They also help people cope with grief and support communities recovering from natural disasters.
And whereas the social work profession is one of the fastest growing careers in the United States, all of us would love to recruit you to be a social worker. With about 708,000 social workers today and more than 60,000 more social workers expected to enter the profession over the next decade. And I'll just take
this one. Social workers follow a code of ethics that call on them to fight social injustice and respect the dignity of all people. They positively touch the lives of millions of Americans each day in a variety of places, including schools, hospitals, military, child welfare agencies, community centers, and government.
Whereas through their work, these professionals have helped this nation live up to its values by advocating for equal rights for all, including minority groups, indigenous people, the LGBTQ community, and people who follow various faiths. Social workers advocate for changes that have made our society a better place to live, including a livable wage, improved workplace safety, and social safety net programs that help decrease poverty, hunger, and homelessness.
Whereas the 2023 Social Work Month theme, Social Work Breaks Barriers, embodies how social workers help individuals and entities meet the challenges that prevent them from achieving better well-being. All right. Now, therefore, in recognition of the numerous contributions made by America's social workers, Chair David T. Woodward of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, Vice Chair Marcia Gershenson, myself, Commissioner Lubes, and the entire Oakland County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim March 2023 as National Social Work Month. And here to accept this is Miriam, who is a board member of the National Association of Social Workers Michigan chapter. And you have something to say?
Just a simple thank you on behalf of NASW and NASW Michigan.
And I'd also like to introduce our resident social worker, Penny Lubes, and invite any other members of the audience that might be in social work to come join us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ray Johnson, and I'm a macro social worker.
Yeah. Thank you. This board has long had social workers serving on it, and today we have 2 social workers, and I think to the board and social workers across Michigan, we have strong advocates that use their experience to make sure that Oakland County is showing up to help people, particularly the most vulnerable. So thank you to our resident also to our social workers on the board. Next up, and I guess I don't know who's going to kick off Commissioner Powell is going to kick off a tradition to recognize incredible women across Oakland County as we recognize Women's History Month in the month of March. And so the floor is yours, Commissioner Powell, and I think you will facilitate the program.
Yes, I've been given my directions from staff. So again, I am Oakland County Commissioner Angela Powell, and the district that I govern is the city of Pontiac and portions of Bloomfield Township. So today I want to welcome all of our guests here with us who have also joined us to support our honorees for today. The Women's History Month Award began in 2022. It was an idea that I came up with, and I wanted a way to celebrate the women in Oakland County during March. Since the beginning of our history, women have been making an impact on our community, yet their contributions have historically been overlooked. With the Women's History Month Award, we're honoring the women in our community who have made an historic impact and continue to help make our county a great place for residents and the region. This morning, we are honoring 6 individuals who were nominated by their commissioners who represent their areas of where they reside, live, or they volunteer. I'm looking forward to sharing their accomplishments with you, and at this time, I'd like to invite all the commissioners and their honorees up to the podiums. Can you all please come up? And I'm going to kick it off with my honoree. So the fabulous Patrice Waterman. Let me introduce you all. She's right here. She's right here. Stay right there. Patrice Waterman is a former council, legislative director, and city councilwoman for the city of Pontiac, and currently a community activist for the city of Pontiac. She is known for her great leadership, passion, and drive for getting things done. When Ms. Waterman walks in any room, her graceful presence is always noticed. Why? She is always fashionable from head to toe. You know I love it. I'm always complimenting her. Right there. Other young women, like myself, have watched and learned from her, and in exchange, she has been very dependable to talk to and has provided guidance to navigating local government and the city of Pontiac community. She has contributed many years to the city of Pontiac community, trying to make the lives of residents better, and we appreciate her for this. As I was reading her biography, I came across this quote: "To whom much is given, much is required, and not everyone that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced." And this is a quote that I can truly say Ms. Waterman stood by and did her part when needed, and she's continuing to do great things with us in the city of Pontiac. So thank you. And now, Janet, you want to go next? Okay. Do we take the pictures first, or what we doing?
Sure, I'll grab a photo.
Get the photo first? Okay. Come on, Miss Ma'am. Do I let her speak too? Come on. Thank Actually, I'm gonna let Miss, all the honorees, you'll be able to say some quick words. So I'm gonna turn it over to Patrice Waterman.
You know, this is truly, truly means a whole lot to me. Thank you so much, Angela, for giving me this award, bestowing this upon me, because I served the city of Pontiac for 35 years. It was not an easy serve, but it was a serve that I took with high esteem. So thank you so much for this honor today. Love you.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for allowing me to go next, Commissioner Powell. I'm here to celebrate this queen, Dorothy Jean. Dorothy Dean, and she has a audience of ladies that work with her in just one of her organizations, or maybe a couple of her organizations, actually. National Congress of Black Women, Oakland County representatives are here, as well as our retiring Judge Denise Langford Morris, and fellow members of her sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Nancy Quarles.
And Nancy Quarles, our former, back there. Hi, Nancy. Our former commission member. Good to see you as well today.
As well as Joe and Sharon Persons.
And Joe and Sharon Persons are some great political operatives out of the city of Southfield and the Southfield Dem Club. I'm missing anybody? See, look, she's giving accolades to everybody else, which that's a true servant leader. Dorothy J. Dean is a local attorney, a community activist, and advocate for civil and human rights. She earned her bachelor's degree in journalism from Michigan State University and her Juris Doctor degree from the Thomas M. Cooley Law School. In college, Ms. Dean began her journey of community service and was co-founder of the Rosa Parks Scholarship Fund at Thomas M. Cooley Law School. Mrs. Parks attended the dedication ceremony to establish the scholarship along with the late Congressman John Conyers. Attorney Dean has served on numerous panels and participated in forums in the areas of domestic violence, human trafficking, racial injustice, and juvenile law, including court-to-school programs to instill respect for the law in youth. Attorney Dean chaired the first court-to-school program for the Western International Optimist Club in collaboration with the 46th District Court, where she was the attorney of record for live court cases heard at the school. While president of the Western International Optimist Club, Ms. Dean established the Herbert J. Strather Optimist Scholarship Fund, which is awarded annually to a qualifying student nominated by a fellow optimist in good standing, regardless of residency, who best exemplifies academic excellence and community involvement. To date, over $25,000 have been awarded to students. She was named Outstanding and Distinguished Optimist Club President in 2006-2007, as well Honored Club President, the first in Michigan to receive both awards. Ms. Dean is past president of the Southfield Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Task Force Incorporated. During her tenure, Southfield City Council approved the permanent placement of Dr. King's name above Civic Center Drive. Additionally, while president of the task force, history was made as a bronze statue of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., commissioned to artist James Spearman, was permanently placed in the lobby of the Southfield Library on April 29, 2015. While president, under her tenure, the task force secured National Civil Rights Speaker Fred Gray, who was recently awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Joseph Biden, and who was attorney to Dr. Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. In addition to Queen of Soul Aretha Franklin and American Idol singer Malaya Watson as part of their 30-year celebration of the task force. Under her leadership, the task force, as part of their 30-year celebration, commissioned and documented a history book, The Drum Major Beat in celebration of its 30th anniversary as well. She is active with the Southfield Task Force and is on the advisory board of directors, chairs the opening ceremony and peace walk in January, and the Community Service Award Committee. During the pandemic, Ms. Dean coordinated a virtual candidate forum, a virtual forum on justice and policing, and virtual Drive for Justice events in honor of Dr. King. She is active with Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and currently serves as chairman of the Advocate for Social Justice Committee of the Southfield Chapter Pi Tau Omega, comprised of over 300 members. Ms. Dean is currently editor of a tribute book coordinated by 6 local Southeast Michigan organizations recognizing President Barack Obama for his historic service as the first African American president of the United States of America. This book, a tribute to Barack Obama, Your Story Inspired Our Story, is scheduled to be released in May of this year. What great accomplishments, Dorothy Dean.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting Commissioner Jackson to read all of that, but I am so honored and grateful to be here and for getting an award for doing the things that I enjoy doing. So it's such a privilege and an honor, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for supporting me, and most definitely, I stand on the shoulders of others, and I am so honored to have Judge Denise Langford Morris be here in the audience, the first African-American circuit court judge in Oakland County. I'm so honored to have former Oakland County Commissioner Nancy Quarles, who was the first African-American Oakland County Commissioner right here. So as you can see, I stand on the shoulders of some really great women, and I am so proud to have Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority members, if you could stand, please. So proud to have the National Congress of Black Women here to support me, the Southfield Lathrop Village Dem Club, the chair, and his better half, his wife, Sharon Person. I am just so honored to be here to accept this award, and I thank you very much for having me.
Please, those who have come to celebrate Ms. Dean, come for the photo so you all can be recorded for austerity.
And I hope I said thank you, Commissioner Jackson, for recommending me.
You want to be in it?
Okay, if everyone could just look here and grab a photo. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good to see you, right? Okay.
Hello, everyone. It is my honor to acknowledge Jeannie Stein today, who's not able to be with us. She's completing a term of physical therapy rehab, and she'll be discharged home tomorrow. But she has had a long celebrated history of service to our communities in Troy and Clawson. She retired as a school counselor in Clawson after 33 years of supporting and advocating for our young people. She enthusiastically has shared her interest in making life better for people. She served on boards of over 40 public service groups. She was elected to Troy City Council in 1976, where she served for 16 years, and then was elected as the first woman mayor in Troy in 1992, where she continued until 2001. Her awards include the Troy Distinguished Citizen, an award from Michigan Municipal League Meritorious Service, the Troy Chamber Citizen, and a Community Service Award from Clawson Troy Elks. In May 2022, a park was dedicated to Jeannie in Troy, and the Jeannie Stein Park is now the home to Troy's Farmers Market and many other recreational outdoor activities. So I wanted to thank and honor Jeannie for her lifelong service of commitment to our communities. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. There seems to be a theme of women who have helped increase the number of voters in our county and in our state. And I just did want to give a shout out to Deanna Pegler, who was very instrumental in setting up candidate forums as well. I'm so excited. I've participated in many of the forums that have been mentioned here today. But it is my honor today to talk about a woman who has really increased the voter turnout in my district and who I respect as an amazing community activist and friend. Debbie Roseman exemplifies a true community leader. She gave new meaning to the responsibilities of a precinct delegate. Under her leadership, she partnered with other motivated residents and increased the number of delegates by 200%. Recruiting new delegates gave voices to more residents in both of the last two elections. She also took the time to volunteer at the Bloomfield Township Clerk's office to help with absentee and in-person voting. Debbie has worked in constituent services for Senator Mallory McMorrow, helping residents who were struggling with unemployment paperwork get answers. Debbie is also an instructional coach in the Alternative Route to Certification program at Schoolcraft College. And as a retired teacher, she uses her expertise to support 11 teachers who are in their first year of teaching. I'm very pleased and honored to recognize Debbie for her work in my district.
I want to thank Commissioner Gershenson and all the commissioners here for your service to the community. It is so important that we do what we can to make our community better, and I hope that the little small amount that I do makes a difference. Thank you so much for this recognition.
I just wanted to say thank you because as I became a new commissioner covering your district, you embraced me and supported me, and just anything Gershenson would ask you to help me with, you did, so thank you.
Come on, kid. I'm happy to introduce you to Marilyn McGee. Marilyn has been an indelible mark on the fire service in our county and state. She was the first female fire chief not only for Groveland Township Fire Department, but the first in the county, state, and one of the first in the nation. She was appointed to the rank of chief in the 1980s when this was totally a male-dominated field. She led the department with firm fairness and laid the groundwork for many years of success. Marilyn joined the Groveland Fire Department in January 1974, volunteering as a firefighter secretary. Groveland Township's first female lieutenant in 1977, Michigan's first female fire captain in 1979, Michigan's first female assistant fire chief 1979, Michigan's first female fire chief full-time in 1984. Her goal was to have the most trained and compassionate people on the team. Instrumental with partnering with Michigan State Police to provide a post in Groveland Township. Under her leadership, Groveland Fire Department developed a second fire station in 2000, which was dedicated to her, no surprise there, which allowed businesses and residents to obtain lower insurance premiums. Under her leadership, Groveland was the first fire department in North Oakland County to provide advanced life support, ambulance treatment, and transportation. She retired in 2001 with 27 years on the department. Deeply admired as a trailblazer in the fire services and continues to lead the life of compassion and dedication. She served as an elected Groveland Township trustee from 2016 to 2018. She continues to be available 24/7 by serving as chaplain for local communities. And in her spare time, she's active in her church, Hillside Bible Church. She raised 4 children, enjoys being a grandmother to 9, a great-grandmother to 14, and a dog mom to Angel. And I'd like to invite, and the apple does not fall far from the tree there, because her son Steve's here, who is the fire chief in the village of Holly. And then we also have their friend, Assistant Fire Chief for the North Oakland County Fire Authority, Matt Weil, who started when he was 17 years old. And I'd like to invite all of them up here for a picture, please. You want to say something? Let's get the family up here, please.
Okay. We've come a long way, baby. I think the biggest thing that I am the most pleased with is that we've put so many young people through a lot of training. They've all grown up to be fantastic people, leaders in their community, all caregivers, most of them caregivers. We've got an attorney, we've got doctors that are still, the doctor is still volunteering. So this has been a ripple effect that I've been blessed with. Some of our greatest leaders are fire chiefs and assistant fire chiefs, and even your fire investigator was one of my guys.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That should be.
That was very impressive, by the way. I'm Yolanda Smith-Charles. I represent the other half of Southfield, beautiful city of Southfield. My district pretty much starts at Evergreen and runs all the way over to Royal Oak Township now. And in so, I've observed, and I know lots of wonderful people here today who have looked out for me over the years. I wanted to recognize someone who's a bit of an unsung hero in my town, which is, let me ask you, has anyone been to the Big Boy on Southfield Road, ever? Okay, yeah, few of you, okay, great. So then you know my honoree. Her name is Mary Alam, and Mary is the proprietor of that location. And I interviewed her about a month ago to find out her story because she's a complete workaholic. I knew there's no way she'd come today because people need to get their food. So 2 great things happened in 1980. Moi. And Mary actually began washing dishes at the Big Boy on Connor across from City Airport. Anyone got enough history to think back to that one? I see a few hands raised up. So she had very limited English. Her shift was 3 p.m. to 2 a.m., and she made $35 a day. She was a mother of 5, and she had to raise those children. And one day, she was at work at the Connor location, and there was an air show at the airport. And the manager at the time was flailing around, frantic, and needed some help in the kitchen. And so he asked Mary to help, and seeing her work ethic and just seeing how she didn't let anything stop her, he decided to, he saw how much passion she had, so he decided to give her more responsibility. So 2.5 years later, she was waitressing at the Jefferson Big Boy. Anyone remember the Jefferson Big Boy? Officers probably know that one pretty well too. Well, the Jefferson Big Boy, she waited tables for 2.5 years until she purchased her first location of her own Big Boy at 8 Mile and Mound in Ryan. And so she went on to get her second Big Boy location in Troy, her third Big Boy location in Southfield, 1995, and her fourth Big Boy in the Renson. So, needless to say, she's pretty established. And so she told me she used to drive 150 miles a day just so that she could get to all her 4 and 5 different locations. And you all can tell how roads are. That would be daunting for anyone. Well, during COVID, a lot of us had restaurants we probably liked and lost. And people don't really think about Big Boy as like a must, save this restaurant. It's a fabric of Michigan. And I was actually really impressed because she had like a shoestring staff, very limited staff. Some of the staff were older. Some of those staff died during the COVID pandemic. And even her own daughter, if you've gone in there, you'll see her kind of limping around because there's no time for her to take off to have surgery on whatever's ailing her. And so I was really moved by that. She's very philanthropic in her way, Mary is. She's even purchased, when her staff was getting ready to lose their home, she made good on their mortgages and helped to shore them up. And, in closing, Mary is the oldest franchisee under the Big Boy designation. And so she still has the one location in Southfield, right between 13 and 12 on Southfield Road. So if you get by there at some point, certainly give her a hello. If you've got some teenagers who are sitting around doing nothing, she's got some dishes that could easily be washed, and that would definitely help support her. So I just wanted to shout out Mary because I love women entrepreneurs. I love women who make a difference in the community, and certainly with Big Boy, maintaining that location during the pandemic had to be a lot. So I just wanted to bring some recognition to her as well. And I will close with that. Thank you.
Thank you to all my commissioners who participated. That just warms my heart. So thank you all, and I turn it back over to our chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the honorees. A great example of what makes this such a great county to live in because of the contributions of all of you and folks like you all across our great county. Next up is the communications, and I think we have a couple communications, and I will call on the clerk to present those.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations to all of our amazing women. First communication is dated March 3rd, 2023. Dear Chairman Woodward and members of the Board of Commissioners, it is with much gratitude that I send this letter to thank you for the funding assistance provided by the Board of Commissioners from the county's American Recovery Plan Act, ARPA funds, to our community center. The grant in the amount of $125,000 will match an equal amount by our city to upgrade our community center kitchen for the purpose of meal preparation for the senior meal program, as well as other food service preparation needs related to activities taking place in our community center. All design work for this project has concluded, and we expect to receive competitive bids, select a vendor, and complete installation by the end of summer. The partnership with the county for this project is very much appreciated. We look forward to making this improvement to our kitchen facility and to increase the level of service that we currently provide to our residents. Best regards, Thomas Tang, I hope I said that right, City Manager of Auburn Hills. And the second communication is also dated March 3rd. Dear Board of Commissioners, I am writing on behalf of the Oakland County Superintendents Association. We express our deepest gratitude for unanimous decision to approve $100,000 in funding to cover the copay for breakfast and lunch for 5,500 students in Oakland County. We are incredibly grateful to Commissioner Marsha Gershenson for championing this effort. We are delighted that the payment for students who qualify for reduced price meals will begin on March 1st and remain effective throughout the school year. Students learn better in school if they eat nutritious meals. Removing the barrier to good nutrition will help to ensure that all Oakland County students are prepared to excel in the classroom. Again, thank you for your generous support and partnership. Respectfully, Dale Steele, Superintendent of Lamphere Public Schools, President of Oakland County School Superintendents Association.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to receive and file the communication moved by Commissioner Weipert, seconded by Commissioner Johnson? Any discussion? All in favor of receiving the communications, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that the communications were received unanimously. This will now move us to the first public comment of tonight's, this morning's meeting. So this is an opportunity to comment on any item on the agenda. Under the consent or regular agenda. No one signed up, but if there's anybody who wants to comment on things on the agenda, please just come to the microphone. Seeing none, I will close the first public comment. There'll be a second one at the end of the meeting on any other the public comment for any other topic. And that will bring us to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda, is there a motion to move the consent agenda? Moved by Commissioner Gingell, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. Any discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda? There are a lot of things that are captured that went through the committee process. I mentioned it in our Democratic caucus earlier. A lot of very important things. Two things I want to lift up, but with approval of this consent agenda, we are formally recognizing Juneteenth in this, as an official county holiday, which I think is a great effort that many people on this board have championed for some time, as well as taking steps to dramatically expand our county park system to include new undisturbed natural areas in the city of Troy. So, and there's a host of other issues, but I want to bring attention to those. Seeing no further discussion on the consent agenda, Madam Clerk, will you please prompt the vote? Commissioner Hoffman? Commissioner Hoffman? Commissioner Hoffman? Okay, we'll close the board.
Mr. Chair, you have 14 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The consent agenda is adopted. Now I'll move us to the regular agenda. I believe all the items for economic development and infrastructure were taken up in the under the consent agenda. I will call on our finance chair to take up the one item that we moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda to take up an amendment. Commissioner Markham, the chair of finance, I'll recognize Commissioner Markham.
We have one item today, and that is a modification to the procedure for claims review, claims procedure, and the main change to this is that for any decision that is made over $1 million settlement by claims, and these are usually legal reviews that take place where the county has a settlement. If there is a settlement over $1 million, it has to come to the board, typically.
Or at the discretion.
Or at the
Chair, I think,
discretion
yeah.
of the chair.
That speaks to the amendment. But so Commissioner Markham's going to move adoption of the revised liability claims
Right.
and workers' compensation policy and procedures committee. Moved by Markham, seconded by Long. And then we have an amendment. I guess Commissioner Markham will move the amendment.
I'll move the amendment.
And the amendment's in the packet, seconded by Long. And if you click on the amendment, whereas written before that every settlement above $1 million has to come to the board, in some cases that might not make sense. In practice, large ones we have, like the Raffaelli case, we brought that to the full board, even though the former policy said that could have just been decided by finance. This allows for those very large claims, if it makes sense that the full board is engaged in them. We are talking about awarding money, county money, and I think it's an appropriate tweaking that allows for that provision.
I have a question.
Yes. Commissioner Hoffman, is it on the amendment?
Yes. The amendment, tell me the amendment again.
So if you click on the
It didn't
amendment.
come up.
It should be on your, it's in your
Blank
packet.
screen.
Okay, I'll just read the amendment very clearly.
All right.
So, in section D that says settlements amounts of $1 million or greater, $1 million or greater, it will read, with the amendment, it will read, recommendations of the settlement amount by the Claims Review Committee and subsequent final approval of the settlement of the claim to Finance Committee of the Board of Commissioners and/or the full Board of Commissioners upon discretion of the chair. For these very large awards that depending on what the situation is and the amount, that at minimum comes to the Finance Committee, in some cases might come to the full board.
Okay.
And I guess it's one other thing. The practice has been is like it just only went to the Finance Committee and the board technically never had to act. We made an exception given the size of the Raffaelli case, like that one needed to come. We just basically overruled the policy. But this would just, for large settlements that we have the ability to bring those questions to the full board, but it would go to finance at a minimum.
Okay, what if it's less than $1 million? What's the procedure?
So that's captured in other things in the resolution.
Right.
Which is not this, it's not the amendment, but
It's the revised liability
Yep.
claims and workers' comp.
I'm pulling it up right now.
So up to
Yep,
up to
yes, go ahead. Commissioner
40,000
Markham, go ahead.
up to $40,000, claims review the claims committee can settle those, up to $40,000. Up to $150,000, it has to come to the finance committee. And then anything over $1 million is what we just discussed, where it would come to the board at the chair's discretion.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I know that's what we talked about in finance, from 150 up to, I think it was $1 million or something.
Right.
That it would come to the finance committee.
Yep.
Right.
Is there a way that the finance committee would be able to suggest that it come to the full board? I mean, I know we have the policy, but let's say it's $800,000 or $900,000, and the people on finance committee think, whoa, I think there's more to this.
I think we can, yes.
You think we can, or we can?
Well, it's what happened with the Raffaelli case.
Yeah.
The finance committee decided that it should come before the full
Oh,
board.
so we can do that then? It
Yeah.
would be Thank you very much, depending on circumstances. Thank you.
Commissioner Gingell.
Yeah, I just have a quick question, and maybe semantics. So what we're saying is they all go to the finance committee, but at the board's discretion, they may come to the full board. So this actually reads, so maybe we just need to ensure that it reads this way, because it says claim payment to the finance committee of the Board of Commissioners and/or the full Board of Commissioners upon discretion of the chair of the board. It to me reads, and I'm not an attorney, but it reads that both of them are at the discretion of the chair, and I don't believe that's what we're saying.
That's
So
not- yeah, it's not
I
what-
may be interpreting it incorrectly, but I think we can vote on the intention of it and just ensure that it's written properly in the procedures.
Right, yes.
Is
No,
that fair?
per our procedure, it always will come through the finance committee. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
I'm good.
The attempt was, is like, in some cases, those things will also come to the full board.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's just semantics,
right.
but to ensure that it's clear.
Got it.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yep. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, will you please prompt the vote on the amendment?
Mr. Chair, you have 15 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, that will bring us back to the main motion. I also just want to say special thanks to Dee McBroom and her team in risk management that put a lot of time. She's been updating a lot of procedures, I mean, from workers' comp to making certain that we're protecting the interests of the county. And this is a policy that's long overdue to be updated. And I want to thank you for all your hard work and the team's hard work on working on this. So without any further discussion on the policy revision, Madam Clerk, please prompt the vote. Yep.
Mr. Chair, you have 15 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted. That'll move us to Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee. And I will recognize Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just one item today, and that's on the matter of appointments to the Job Evaluation Review Panel. I would recommend that the board concurs with the appointments of the County Executive, Chief Judge of the Circuit Court, and the other elected officials as presented, and then also for us to appoint our colleagues, Commissioners Yolanda Smith-Charles, Janet Jackson, and then Michael Gingell as an alternative to the board.
Fantastic. Moved by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please prompt the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 15 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The appointments are confirmed. That will bring us to Public Health and Safety, which all those items were taken up in the consent agenda. There are no, next up is reports of special committees. There are none. Special order of business, unfinished business, all that's been taken care of. New and miscellaneous business, I believe. Commissioner Cavell.
I'd like to introduce to have referred to committee a resolution to support the expansion of the Compassionate Access to Medical Cannabis Act, and I believe it should be referred to LAGO.
Referred without objection. Any other new and miscellaneous business? Seeing none, we'll move to announcements. Any announcements? Seeing none. That will bring us to our second public comment. This is an opportunity for any member of the public who wishes to address the board on any topic. Please come to the microphone at the back of the auditorium. Seeing none, I'll declare our second public comment closed, and we stand adjourned into our next meeting, which I don't have in my April. It used to be printed on the agenda. April 20th. Or I call the chair. April 20th or call the chair. Thank you very much. Be safe today. Get out there. Rain, rain, go away.